What's up, people of the world? I am going to add our special guest here. And hello, welcome. We should have our guest joining here any second. There she is! Woohoo!
Now I'm too, like, I'm not, there we go.
There's your face.
There's my backwards so you can pull.
We are squooshed here together so that we could bring you the Post Hoot. And also our esteemed guest, Miss Deb, please tell me if I'm saying this correct, Doetzer?
You got it, Cissy.
Yes. Who is the voice of Gwendolyn Clawthorne on The Owl House.
Grandma.
Yay, we made it.
We did it. Technology.
We had a bit of a scramble this morning trying to figure out how to actually connect everybody, and here we are. Deb, how are you?
I am doing good. How are you guys?
Good. I'm so glad you were able to join us today.
I'm so glad you invited me to join. It's exciting. So
I love your facts. Those are
and
I know, it's so good.
Everything I did was remote, so I only saw the inside of my padded room.
We know the feeling, both mentally and physically. So tell us how did you end up? What are you doing in Chicago? What is it you do there?
Well, I'm a voice actor, and I also teach. I teach at Columbia College, where we have a voiceover minor. If you believe that.
That's her school.
Yeah, it's where I went.
Go to Columbia.
I did. From Chicago.
Dating you.
I graduated in 2017, and I went there first in arts and sciences. So I don't think I ever had you for any courses, but that's where I went.
You did not. Well, but I was there at 20. I teach at DePaul. I teach the graduating MFA and BFA theater majors and voiceover. So that's kind of what I do. And, I have 3 cats, which may be attacking me because I think it's lunchtime and I forgot.
My dogs are doing like WWE WrestleMania right beneath us.
Yeah. Pretty sure my foot's about to be sacrificed.
Yeah. Bobby, we're not. All done.
So, I want to talk about Elsewhere and Elsewhen, which is the most recent episode.
And if you haven't watched, anyone who is here now, we're about to spoil everything. So leave.
Major spoiler alerts. I think the question on everybody's mind really is, do we get to see the fabled Snorses? I need to see a Snorse.
I don't. We'll see.
So shall we recap? Give the whole 9.
All right. So we start the episode with Lilith, who is just magically back, which is good.
Magically back, right?
She's coming. She can come and go. That's magic.
There's no fanfare. But in a beautiful tie-in to the letter that Dana had me read for her fundraiser, she has gotten the job as the aide at the Historical Society, and they're having a little congratulations party.
Hootie has gathered all his pellets and throwing you a ball.
The balloons are eyeballs, which is kind of amazing.
The appellitizers.
Yes. Yes. Which I loved. And then, of course, we meet Lilith's frenemy.
Mm-hmm. Right. What's
Flora Diasplora?
Flora Diasplora. And a beautiful nod to what is definitely not a Nickelodeon property.
And then one of the people who do recaps of stuff, I heard that the voice actor is actually plays the mother of Dora the Explorer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
You
guys are amazing.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's
my God, that's incredible. I did not know that. And she even had boots as her little talisman, which
like
destroyed
the whip
me.
is boots, yeah.
I love it.
I missed the name, and then I had to go back and watch because I was like, she reminds me of somebody. Who's she?
It just looks familiar.
I can't put my finger on it.
I know. I saw you tweet out just a picture of Dora, and I was like, oh. Took me a minute. I know. But yeah, so then we learned that Lilith is in, crisis again.
Uh-huh.
Surprise, surprise. We're 3 minutes into the episode and she's having an existential crisis. But she decides she wants to be a bad girl historian and maybe go after Dedwardian balusters. Which is amazing. So obviously
Luce is having trouble with the portal.
Luce is having trouble with the portal. She's frustrated because she couldn't get it to work, the ding dang portal.
Uh-huh.
And they go off on an adventure and they find time pools
In the sand.
in the
The sand.
In
sand.
the quicksand time pools.
Yes.
Become a crab maiden.
Mhm.
She becomes a crab maiden. I also love the scene where Lilith trips over a rock and gets mad
And
at
it's
the
her.
rock. And then it's her head from later on in the
I
episode.
love it. It's so good.
And then just before Lilith realizes what's happening, she again has an existential crisis with, is it broken? Am I broken? And then Luce says, we did
You
it!
did it. You found him.
You know, and you can see her competitive side is just always under the surface with that one.
She's just always ready to unravel. It's like the last one day.
Yeah, in your face. It destroys me. We see the stone sleeper, which is definitely a little foreshadowing. They have a little ticklish spot.
Yeah.
And then of course we get the reveal of Lilith's dance moves.
I love it so
I was
much. The finger guns. Pew, pew, pew. What was the line? Let's boogie down to
let's
History
Boogie
Town.
down to History Town. Pew, pew, pew. Oh my God, I die. And
She
you,
really is cool, Aunt Lilith.
and you made the GIF and the GIF.
Yeah. That
Gift,
got
Jip.
way more traction than I thought it did.
It's been
Oh my
everywhere.
God.
It's been
Yeah.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So we have Rebecca to thank for the actual repeating GIF of that forever and ever, or GIF. I don't know. Don't at me.
It's GIF.
It's gift.
I don't care. It's GIF.
But apparently the guy who created them recently died, and he said it was GIF.
Oh, man.
So I don't know.
Oh, no.
We
Dad?
also we meet Ida's dad for the
Yeah.
first
Oh,
time.
yeah.
We meet him. Well, I guess not for the first time, but for the first time in this
Like in present.
in present
Yeah.
time. And then we get to see Gwendolyn comes back.
Yeah, I know.
She was so clearly fooled by Ida's, mop and dress.
Yes, so clearly fooled. Yeah.
Uh.
And I have to say, it's very interesting to me. Like, a lot of my friends are like, did they model the character after you? Because they think that's her. And I'm like, no. I'm like,
You're like,
Huh.
what?
Yeah, I know.
but it's so interesting to see, because I'm like, okay, that does kind of could look like me, for God's sakes. Very funny. But yeah. And it's so funny because you guys are probably, of course, super used to this, but this is the first animation I've ever done. So, like, a big one. I've done some little ones, but so we recorded it so long ago, that I'm like, oh, what? Oh, now? Okay. And I know that
I thought this episode came out like last season. I had to like check myself, and I was like, "Don't mention anything about Lilith. Don't say anything."
exactly what the thing is, like, I only got the full script, I think, for the first episode I did. And then the other ones, I just got the scenes. So really, I couldn't give away any spoilers other than my scenes, which really are spoil worthy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, I could have spoiled that Del was coming into town, but I didn't, because I didn't know when it was airing. Like, I thought it aired already. I'm clueless. So, but it was very fun
How
to
fun
see.
has it been for you to see the arc of the relationship between the girls and their parents? I mean, to go from trying to fix your daughter, right? Trying to fix what you perceive as broken, but that she is perfectly comfortable living with,
Right.
to like settling into this really lovely.
And trying to rebuild your relationship with
Yeah.
the sensitive one.
Oh, it makes me feel so bad. I was telling you when we talked the other day, I have 2 sons. So when I read the audition, I find so rarely do you actually get like a really good story arc in an audition. You get some lines, you're like, I'm just gonna wing it. So I got the arc of the story, and like, actually, when I stepped out of the booth, I was like, that was a good audition. And then I was a little teary-eyed, And I think, as you guys know, making that connection with the character is super important, and and I was like, well, even if I don't get it, I feel really good about it. You know, a lot of the comments for people were like, you know, Gwendolyn's an anti-vaxxer. She's a terrible mom. Oh, she did her.
The timing.
Wow, these fans, man. I'm no anti-vaxxer. But, you know, it really
Poor
struck home.
Gwendolyn. She didn't deserve any of that.
It's same gender. I have two sons. You know, you don't want to, you know, like one more than the other, or
Fair.
you know.
I can't imagine how hard that is.
And it's interesting because both my kids are super different, so I don't feel like I do that. But you know, you just don't know, and you don't really know what's going on in their head with your parenting, right? And if they feel like you loved, you know, this one more than me or whatever. So the storyline was really touching to me. You know, I really felt like she was doing her best and trying, you know, and didn't really even see, because she didn't know Lilith was cursed. She didn't know the whole story. All she knew was that her baby was cursed. And of course, you know, I watch a lot of true crime TV, reveal, about me. But, you know, I see things, especially when it comes to, you know, kids getting murdered, God forbid, but the parents, you know, and I often think about their other kids, you know, I'm like, well, how are they feeling? I mean, because that will consume you, right?
Overshadow everything.
Overshadow everything, and how that impacts the whole family. I mean, this is different, but how it impacted Lilith being like, what am I, chopped liver? You know, or chopped
Like,
some other creature that you might find.
and seeing how hard you were working, I didn't understand that at first. I was like, why is she so intense? But then when you see what happened with like Dell and then his livelihood, I don't know, like I thought it was so heartbreaking. I was like, oh, she's just trying to keep everything like together.
Yeah.
Like truly like just working so hard because everything is so messed up.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, I'm a single mom. My ex he tries, you know, so I really could relate to, you know, as a friend of mine once said, in relationship to voiceover work, when many of us start to go like, I want out, I haven't booked anything in a while. She said, someone said to her, she was a single mom of two boys too, and she said, got to keep that mothership running. You never know, right? And you're raising those kids and you're the only thing they've got and you're the only one providing. Got to keep that mothership going. And I really felt that with Gwendolyn. Like she's just, you know, doing the best that she can. That's the way I looked at it. And, you know, and then came to a realization and had a breakthrough and hoped that she didn't screw it up for all eternity, right?
You didn't. Your girls are wonderful.
You did, and you did such a good job of giving her like strength but heart. You know what I mean? Like she just and fun. Like
There's
there's
such personality.
yeah, there's definitely a fiesta happening back there, like behind her eyes. Like she's just really fun. She's really cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, she has fun daughters, so you know, she had to be fun. Really interesting having not, you know, worked with you and heard, you know, was how well the voices really match and actually sound familial in a way, in a weird way. We all sort of have a little husky thing going on, and yeah, it was just really cool to sort of see the whole thing come together like that.
It really is. It really is. I love it. All right, so then we go like into the actual tide pools. We find the Deadwardian era. We meet Philip Weatherbane.
Witabane.
Witabane.
I was like, Weatherbane?
Weatherbane.
I was like, now you said that, I don't know. Yeah, I was like, not a Weatherbane.
And then we have puns galore, which I'm
Yes.
sorry, the show, if you're not paying attention at all times.
Magnifique. Rewatch if you missed any puns, anyone out there.
I love that Lilith is like, okay, remember this is an era of wild magic and it's liable to be savage, and then they're like, hello.
Witches.
Yeah,
It's just
and it's
sweet.
beautiful and pretty.
It
Yeah.
is, yeah. The first look we get into some history.
Yeah.
And then of course, surprise, surprise, Philip is a terrible human.
Not a nice guy.
Not a nice
Liz
guy.
got duped.
And Lilith got duped.
Again.
Yes.
But you smelled it. I was.
Yeah, you were suspicious. So
Yeah.
You were, and I didn't trust your gut.
And Lilith was like, there's something familiar.
Caught up all the, you know, accolades he was giving you.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
confidence, the compliments.
He
I
knew.
can't.
He's a master manipulator.
Yep.
Yeah,
We've
because
all
what about
known
Blue
one.
Fang?
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
you see his fang and his talisman in Philip's bag.
Oh, I missed
Yeah.
that.
When
Yeah.
he's writing in his journal and
Yeah,
news comes up.
I remember they're like, "Where is he?" And they're like, "You better tell us."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the beginning, and then you see like the blue thing and his talisman in the
Yeah.
back.
I missed that. See, this is what I mean. Like, I was trying to like take notes like a studious ding dong, and I missed it. She just called me Lilith. That's great. You're right. I am. Can't help it. But he also uses glyphs, which is interesting. So he's another
Like next level too.
Yeah,
Right?
that crazy thing on the floor. I wanted to
Yeah.
like pause and be like, "What is it?
What
Really?"
is it? I know.
I pray for whoever had to design that.
Oh, yeah, our prop designer.
And then I died when Luce goes after the stone sleeper and Lilith goes, Edie's gonna kill me, Edie's gonna kill
Oh
me.
yeah,
Like, oh my
she
god.
promptly stopped fearing her own death and more that Edie was gonna kill her.
I also liked the moment where Philip starts digging for the mirror, and Lilith goes, "That better be your own grave you're digging."
Oh my gosh, I was dying.
Yeah, that was a good line.
So good. It's so good. And then the punch, which happened to coincide fairly at the same time with the slap.
Yeah,
Right?
I know, right?
And
And I saw memes of that.
punch
Yeah,
bounced
yeah.
It was
Across the
kind of
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting.
Good time. I mean,
But stay mad, right?
Yeah,
Stay
stay
mad. I feel like that's going to overtake Agony of a Witch, any quote, anytime. Stay
Talk
mad.
to the glyph witch was a really good line. Like, that's one of my favorites.
Sorry, let me say it overtakes Lilith, any of Lilith's former lines. Talk to the Witch, yes. And then I want to know what the heck is going on with that guy's arms.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
when he's like bulging out
Yeah.
and like roid rage.
the
Like,
light
whoa.
up tattoo. That would be kind of
Crazy.
cool though. Have a light up tattoo.
Yeah. Also, how cute was it when Ida and Lilith's dad goes, I hear I have a grandson.
I know, Kenny's
Oh,
like,
guys,
get to
I
meet my
literally like I
grandpa.
get choked up every time they talk about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
so cute.
Just the whole
So
scene
cute.
with Del and Ida was so good.
Deli- oh
Mhm.
man,
It really was.
I didn't know I needed that healing for Ida.
I know. Talk about like healing some trauma there.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So I think that episode was amazing.
It was so good. Learned so
cannot wait.
much.
I know.
You do.
Mm.
I sorry. I think this one's like a rewatch. Like there's so much content that you could have missed, and I was just like, oh yeah, that happened too. Oh
Yeah.
wow, yeah, that too. Like,
Beauty episode with a lot of stuff. One thing I was thinking, and it's just the animation, right? But I was sort of struck by, I was like, Philip looks like a young Del. What's that about? Different color hair.
oh no, you're gonna send Twitter off.
The
They're gonna go
theorists
crazy
are
with
gonna
that
go.
now. Oh,
I don't know.
my
I was like thinking of because I was like, wait a minute, who does he look like to me? So I don't know. I mean,
You're gonna have to
maybe
tune in to find
I
out.
don't know.
Right?
I
Yeah.
really don't.
House Saturdays. Tune in.
I want to know what that mirror is for, though. I love that he's like, what should I call you? Oval, oblong, round boy?
Oh, round boy. Just like he's so evil, but just like also witty, like
Also
and
witty.
quirky.
So
Yeah,
funny.
Yeah.
And I'm
That you're what's coming of that? Like lots of weird little bits and
Lots of
pieces.
seeds planted.
Yeah.
I do
100%.
wish after Lilith had punched him that she would have taken it, but obviously that would be bad for storytelling. So
I know. I was like, we're just gonna leave him.
Time
Finish
travel.
him.
Time travel's
Finish
weird.
him.
Is Lilith gonna do a tearful Twitter response and talk about Danny? Is that what's
Right.
gonna happen next?
it was.
So how do you like squeeze so much into one episode sometimes? Like,
Oh,
is
man.
it so hard?
That's the question for the writers.
Sometimes
Like,
the
there's
pacing, I'm
so
like,
much
yeah,
stuff.
they just made that happen. Like from the moment Lilith had like sneaking suspicion, like boom, he was evil, betrayal, treachery. Like
Yeah.
it was like I was like that was like a 10-second turn.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
how you jam pack these
I
episodes.
mean, just like in the backgrounds, there's so many little details that you can
Yeah,
miss.
that
with
are,
this
like,
stuff, so it
storytelling
just-
subconsciously.
Yeah, and it's just like you miss them, and it's like when you're sitting in on those like design reviews and stuff like that. They're like pointing stuff out. They're like, can we add this from like this episode to like connect this thing together? And you're just like, I would have never thought of that, but it's just like it makes so much sense. But yeah, like
yeah,
I
you
mean,
have to like study it to catch it all. Don't you feel that way? Like you're like, what was that? Okay, like
Oh yeah, you can't catch it. I mean, but then it all kind ties together at some point. You know what I mean? So you really do have to pay attention, and it really is one of those things that makes me fully understand why the fans like totally dig it, because they find they're like all in connecting the dots, finding the little pieces that go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's like an Easter egg hunt. It
Yeah.
is like
Yeah,
it.
legit.
It
Yeah.
really is.
So Deb, who is your favorite character on the show,
And why is it?
why is it Lilith? Or Luce?
Well, of course it's
You can tell
Gwendolyn, because I love her.
Okay.
Of course I love King and Hootie because they're cute and
Yeah.
Give it again, Alex.
don't hate me, Nikki, but I do love Lilith. From the minute I saw, I was like, okay, I think she's beautiful. And it made me sad. Like when, I was like, oh, but why is Gwendolyn not like love Lilith? She's so cool. And I have to say, because I teach college, so many of my students, I mean, I think Lilith wins as the favorite character among all the youth that I know. I know. Although some of the Latinx students are, of course, can't get enough of Luce and love the fact, and people love the fact that she's, in a relationship with a young lady and the bisexual aspect of it, or maybe just lesbian or poly. What is it? Wait, what's the term these days? Not polyamorous, because that would get a little crazy.
Pansexual. Yeah, Luce is bi.
Not asexual, the other one.
Pan.
Pan. Yes, I knew it had a P word. So, perhaps she's pansexual. But I mean, just the fact that, and I think, so many kids don't get to see themselves, and so, she's out there doing it. And so I know a lot of folks really respect that character as well. And I have also gotten a lot of comments about the fact that I am younger than Wendy. Play her mom. It's like, because I'm not really her mom in real life. Weird.
Yeah. Think about voice acting though.
Well, for what it's worth, I think Lilith is older than Ida, and I am not older than Wendy. So
Yeah.
Wendy
I know.
plays again.
It doesn't really kind of matter how old you are. I'm like, I just sound older, I guess.
Well,
That's
technically, isn't Ida a couple hundred years? So who's to say?
I mean,
time's all relative.
and to be fair, I've sounded like this since I was 16. So what are you going to
Did
do?
you?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Really?
When we want a 16-year-old for this, I'm like, cool. So you sound like you smoke a pack a day, or...
Meanwhile, they're like 7 years old. Go ahead, Nikki.
like,
Okay.
hey, I'll do it.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Can we ask, what was, I know it's not like, you don't have to give us the whole, we have like 5 minutes, but what was your journey into VO like? Because I know we all come at this from like so many different angles, like you're teaching, you're doing so many things, like how did you get into this animation world?
Well, I mean, through doing voiceover for many years, and being in Chicago, unfortunately, we don't get a lot of the opportunities that you guys get, right? I've noticed since the pandemic, we're getting a lot more opportunities just because, yay, we can. I think in some ways that's leveled the playing field, which is really kind of nice and necessary because we can do our jobs from anywhere, really, at this point with technology. So I got into voiceover sort of by accident, right? There were no classes or anything. Back in my day, we didn't have So I was doing, I had, gotten out of college recently and I did a lot of improv. That was sort of how I started in this business. And through improv, I got cast in a show and got my Actors Equity card. And through improv, someone was like, hey, I think you have a cool voice. Have you ever thought about doing voiceover work? And at the time I was like, I don't even know what that is, because you knew cartoons existed and people said stuff that weren't on camera in the TV commercials, but it wasn't like a job one could actually have. Like,
that was totally what I thought too. And I was like, you can just do that. Like,
Yeah.
that's a
Totally.
whole new wing that we haven't even talked about.
yeah. And he said, well, I want you to come and audition for this thing. And I said, okay. I went in, it was an industrial, so non-union. I was about 23. I was playing a know-it-all medical student. Shocking, I know. $200 for 20 minutes worth of work, and I didn't have to wear makeup or costume, or I could wear my glasses, which I prefer to do. And I was like, hang on here, this is like what I love about acting. So I loved cold reading, and I was an improviser. And I was like, yeah, I think that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And then when I moved to Chicago, this was in Boston where I started, you know, it was like kind of booming commercially. And, you know, I just was working, you know, and we also, commercials had a lot more characters in them back in those days. So I got, you know, I kind of got my foot, but of course the dream, right, is always, you know, going to be like seeing yourself as an animated character. I did an animated short for SeaWorld where I played a ditzy penguin, and kids and my boyfriend and his kids, we went to SeaWorld to see it on the Jumbotron, right? It was from the show. And like, I'm thinking, I'm like, this is a cool, you know, and my kids were like, when are we going to leave? This is boring. Like, they have since changed their tune now that I'm on the Owl House.
Yeah.
Now
Right.
I'm cool. And it was just like, why are we sitting at this stupid show, you know, waiting for this thing?
You're cool, Mom.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah,
really
but that
fun.
feeling, right? When you see yourself, you know, as someone else, and, you know, my mom watched the very first episode I was in, and and at the end, she was with my cousin's girlfriend, and she was like, which one was Deb? They had to rewatch it because she's like, you didn't sound like you. I'm like, I did.
I
You know,
did.
but
That sounds like my parents. They're like, which one are you? And I'm like, you can't. Not when
like,
you mount. Like,
you're like, really?
Yeah.
No? Yeah. So.
Well, I think I see maybe a couple of little questions.
Yes.
I'm gonna
I was
try
trying to keep track of them, but there's like, they're
This
rolling.
is- yeah, someone's phone keeps vibrating. I don't know what that is. Okay. How did you first react to being on the Owl House? I guess we can all answer that. What was your first reaction?
I don't know. There's a lot of firsts. Like, you got the callback, right? And I was like, it was for a pilot. I'm not going to get it. That's always my mentality. I just try not to, like, because whatever one you're like, I nailed that. I'm going to get this. I did so good. You know, as soon as you do that, you're never going to hear from them again.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that actually went really well. Like, whatever. And then when I booked it, my agent, I remember, like, she was so excited, and she was telling me, she's like, this is huge. And I was like, we'll see. Like,
Yeah.
I just, like, I was really, like,
hopes up.
trying not to get my
Like, yeah, I don't know. And never look a gift horse in the mouth or whatever.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I'll do my job. But when I went to New York Comic Con before the show had even come out, and I saw like all the people excited about it, I was like, you don't even know if it's good yet. Like, I know Dana and Alex and Wendy are all amazing. I was like, but you don't know like what we're gonna make. Like, I was just, that's when it really hit me. I was like, this is a huge deal, and I do not know what I've done.
Yeah.
So for me, it was very. I mean, this was my first big thing too. Like, I was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
How about you? When you got cast, what did you
Well,
think?
I auditioned in my little closet, and I was, and so the pandemic had literally just started. So it was like March was locked down. My younger son and I, because he was still in high school, went for a walk in the woods, because that's like, we did a lot of walking back then, like, I gotta get out, let's go walk somewhere remote. So as I was coming in, and of course, I had like crap that I was bringing in from the car, I had my phone, and it was a New York phone number. And my agent, there's one here in Chicago and one in New York, but rarely have I booked anything through the New York office, right? So I get him situated, and then I go, oh, what was that message? I wonder what that was. And it was a pretty long message. So I listened, and as I was listening, I think the color drained from my face. And is this real life? And my son, Mom, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, I think I may be cast on a Disney animation, like Disney cartoon. And he was like, and sort of like you, Nikki. I was like, no, you can't get too excited about these things. I was
Right?
like,
Because then it's going in my head, I'm like, they're gonna cut me out of it. I'm gonna tell everyone I'm in it, and then I won't be in it.
and it was like around 5:30 Chicago time, so it was still pretty late in the day in New York time. So I called back, and and I'm trying to keep it cool. Like, I'm a professional. I book things. Yes, I do. And I was like, hi. I was like, imbecile. She's like, yeah, cool. So we did a little Source Connect sesh, like we did our little test, and it went great. And of course, the day of the session, my internet is janky, nothing's working.
Work from home.
Everyone learned the hard way.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was just incredible and amazing. And yeah, like you said, transformative. You're like, this is really happening. And I'm like, and cool. You know, I'm 26, dreams don't die. You know what I mean? That's a really cool lesson. You never know, like my students ask all the time, like, well, how much money can you make? And I'm like, 0 to a lot of money. And
there's no limit on how little or how much you can make.
Yep.
And I didn't book anything. I've been in my agent for like 3 months. I'm like, relax. But that's
take a breath.
You can't predict, and you don't know when things are gonna strike, and you just kind of do it because you love it.
Yeah.
And then the good things can come.
Yeah. I remember doing the audition in like 2016.
Oh my God.
And then coming in like 2018 to actually record. And I was convinced that they were just going to have me in to do scratch, and then they were going to recast me with a celebrity, because that happens all the time. You know what I mean? And it's happened to me on other projects, and it's whatever. Like, it's just part of the business. And I just remember thinking, like, no, it's fine. Like, just have fun while you're here. It's someone else will do a great job of her. I'll just I'm happy to be a part of it and all. Everything's fine. I like my life choices. But I mean, and then to get the reveal on Agony of a Witch, like, to be able to scream, "Why were you so easy to curse?" at the top of my lungs was just.
I'm still triggered by you saying it.
I know.
Yeah. Even the most successful, voice actors everybody struggles with it, because there's no guarantees, even if you're a big name, person.
Yeah.
Pretty rare. We get replaced all the time, but it's pretty rare when somebody actually gets the job over a talent. A guy here in Chicago got a Bud Light campaign years ago over John Cusack. He's pretty much like a local celebrity here. And I mean, and God bless him, he should brag about it, but he's always like, yeah, I booked that over John Cusack. But because it's kind of a miraculous feat, right?
Yeah.
On that. So, we're so used to being like, well, they want Julia Roberts for nationwide insurance. They're going to hire Julia Roberts. What the hell are they going to pay for? So we deal with it all the time. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people listening are like, Cissy felt that way, like she would be replaced. That's insane.
Dude, I remember I did a commercial campaign for a car years ago, and they ended up taking what I did and giving it to David Duchovny, because we sound so alike.
Exactly.
So, it happens.
At least he's like a cool celebrity.
I mean, anyway, we are running out of time. I'm gonna see if there's any other quick questions we can answer. I'm sorry, everybody. I wish we had time. But oh my gosh, I don't know how to. I'm sorry. There's so many. I love every single one of you for tuning in. Deb, I'm so glad you could be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. It was so fun. Let's hang out. We'll grab coffee.
Yeah. Let us know when you come to LA.
Or I'll hit you up in Chicago. We'll hang.
Anytime you're in Chicago, we're hanging. And one of my plans is to get out to LA sometime in the next 2 years. So
you let us know.
Drinks on me.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
And bye.
Bye.